Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Added Time FPL, our weekly Fantasy Premier League football podcast. It is game week 3. It's been 3 weeks of torture. Not really. We've actually had a very successful start in here, Mike. And we're buzzing because we've just come off the back of a successful triple captain.
Triple captain, game week 2. When have you ever heard this happen? And it happened right here. Both of us triple captain. So did the FPL Added Time team that we created together. And so did a couple of 100,000 other managers out there. And props to you for doing that, because you pushed yourself right up in that upper echelons of the top 500,000 players in the world.
Well done. That triple captain alone took me from 2.6 million to 141,000. So that is a crazy gain. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to quickly see what we spoke about, we're going to just recap why. Well, was it even a good idea, Mike? I know we got a big haul. We got 51 points, which is nothing to be shy about. But was it the best idea in hindsight of what's coming up, the international breaks, the double game weeks in December?
Well, was it a good idea to triple captain Haaland? And the answer is, why not? I mean, it worked, didn't it?
Yeah.
Why did it work? Well, firstly, and this is something maybe we should definitely, I've learned now, I want to target this. Let's look at predicted points, because Haaland was predicted to have statistically the best output against this Ipswich team at this moment, given all circumstances. And it was the type of science you can kind of rely on, the kind of statistics that really do work. And it was worth putting your triple captain on that, even though it was game week 2. And that's what we followed. We followed the fact that Haaland was playing a League One squad.
Basically.
Okay, not even championship.
Sorry,
2 years, seasons ago.
Let's be honest.
The squad came up from there.
Yeah.
He is pedigree. The Man City team, probably the second best assembled squad in the entire world, under probably the best coach in the entire world.
Yeah.
They've hardly lost any games over the last 4 seasons. They hardly lost, let alone going to lose against Ipswich. And Ipswich still finding their feet. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the Ipswich managers just told their team, you know what, we're playing Liverpool and then City. 3 games for you guys.
Yeah.
You can do what you want.
Warm up to the Premier League. Go have at it. What can you do? What can you do?
Their job is not to beat City and Liverpool. Their job is to beat the teams like Southampton and Leicester and Everton and the teams around the bottom of the table so they can survive. So it was almost a guarantee. And what this did was it took pressure off us.
Yeah, we don't have to stress about when we play our next triple captain. It's done. And also, to add to your topics of why it worked, Haaland scores hat-tricks at home. He's only scored hat-tricks at home. So the writing was on the wall for the second time this week. But why do you think it wouldn't have worked? Or why didn't it work? Yes, he got a good haul, but what if Ipswich is facing City again in another double game week late in December? Something like that.
Yeah, well, we know it's not the best idea. Speaking of game weeks, that was back to why it did work, was because there are less game weeks coming.
Yeah,
that's another reason we did this.
Exactly.
But why it didn't work? Why was it a bad idea to triple captain Haaland? And this is for those of you out there who didn't and want some hope that you can still climb your way back. That's the point. You have the possibility of waiting for what is going to be fewer game weeks, but definitely will be at least 1 or 2 in there. City will go deep in many competitions. You could capitalize then. I always remember my Kevin De Bruyne when he was in his prime point scoring FPL. The triple captain got me 90 odd points. It was amazing. But there's still a potential that you could try and match all those players in your mini league who triple captain. If you do well over the next 3, 4, 5, 10 game weeks and slowly chip away at them and get close to them, when you hit your triple captain, the amount you have to achieve, can surpass that.
That's the thing. You've now actually got an advantage over every other manager that didn't play the triple captain. You've got that chip in your bank for when you need to play it most. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you can sort of use that when you feel. And we also do, what we said about the statistics about Ipswich, they only matter right now. They matter the week before the game. The statistics change as the games go on. Teams become weaker, they become stronger, they hit form, players hit form, injuries. There's so many different factors that can make a good game week a definite. and we don't know. And this could happen again, like you said later. Salah could hit goal scoring form. Haaland could go against an Everton, for
KDB
example.
could even be the one that started to pop off. Son as well.
Like if this Man City team was playing Everton at home, I mean, Man City was playing Everton and they were at home, and Haaland was up against that defense, like that would be also triple captain grounds right now.
I agree.
So
I agree.
So you got to just reevaluate it as it comes on. So don't worry if you didn't play your triple captain. You still got time. The trick is you got to keep listening to FPL at a time, because we're going to tell you when to hit that triple captain, because it worked. You got to listen to us.
Picking off the back of that on about playing chips early, it's obviously a big risk and a big gamble, and it's not something that we've ever done before. And we've always been an advocate to saving your chips. And you're looking at me, if you're on the video watching Mike, you can see his reaction, because I think I let the triple captain get to my head a bit. Because I phoned Mike last night and let him know of some riveting news that unfolded. I played my wild card.
This guy, in every season up to now, keeps his wild card till January, when you get it goes away, and he plays it for fun. So he normally just beats us without his wild card, and then he goes, I might as well play my wild card before it gets. This time, it's before an international break, guys. You don't play wild card before international break normally, right?
Yeah.
But and he did it. Now he's got his wildcard active. Now he's going into game week 3 using 2 of the most powerful chips you can use, all before the winter. It's Christmas break.
You know, now that you put it that way, I kind of regret it a little bit, but I have to stick to it.
Nate, you get us into your head. Why did you play wildcard? What's the main reason?
So I told you, and if you guys have been watching since game week 1, you know that I've been wanting Salah. That is the one thing Mike had over me that I really thought was the best, like a really good move. And I wanted Salah in after that international break, after he plays against United, which is this week, to bring him in for this next run of fixtures coming up game week 4, 5, and 6. However, he's been hoarding points. This is the one flaw in the plan. So he obviously went up in price last night. On top of that, there was a few other targets that I needed to get to enable me to afford Salah, and I wanted to move to Palmer. Those enablers were Rogers, who we'll talk about later, someone that you've been plugging as well. Rogers went up as well in price, and Wisa, who also went up in price. So I'm sitting with 3, maybe 4 players that are rising in price. Palmer's due to rise this week as well at some point. I'm sitting with 3 to 4 players that are rising in price, and I can't make this move to match you before the international break. I can't make this move after the international break. I'm not going to have the money. So I thought the best way to do it is to wildcard, because I don't want to take negatives. So I thought, well, stuff it. If I'm triple captain so early, I might as well wildcard and just see how it goes. So that's kind of the madness behind my strategy.
So the main idea here is you're wildcarding to beat the price rises to afford the team you want to go with for the next while.
Until like December, January, exactly.
Okay, so and I see that, because even though your normal strategy up to this point in FPL has been to save your wild card, you have always chased prices, and I think the early wild card is more indicative of the volatile nature of the game for the last 2 seasons. People don't understand that FPL wasn't this volatile with price rises.
There's like 10 million plus players now as well. That's why
more players means more transfers, and they haven't really adapted the way that their price rises work to the increased amount of players that are making transfers every week. So many people are making transfers week in, week out. We're not talking about the top 50 players. We're not talking about the top 100. Not even talking about the top 1,000. We're talking about the next 10 million people.
The bottom 5 million.
They're the ones making the changes. They're never going to win FPL, but they're making the game difficult for the people who are trying to win FPL. It's not even us. They're making it difficult for other people must be cursing.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna look at your wild card, before we look at your wild card draft, who are the flops and tops from game week 1? Who's the flops? And what's gonna help us make game week 3 incredible? Who's someone you were looking at? Who are you looking at that you think you thought it was time to let go?
Well, we both did it after we heard about the injury. Dominic Solanke, number 1 on the list. If you haven't yet, you should probably move him on. I think he's injured until after the international break, maybe even further. We don't know. It's also not a great sign when a player gets injured so early in the game week. their form tends to really drop and they struggle to come back. So that would be my biggest flop of the week. I know he didn't play, but come on, you got to get rid of him.
He was the biggest flop because people had them from game week 1. In fact, that leads us to our next player. Both him and Isak. What a flop.
What
Like, it's not his fault. What the flop? He's in there from game week 1. He has all ticks all the boxes to do well. And what does he do? He blanks in both games. Both games hit 8.5 million. And so many other forwards that are cheaper than him have been scoring points. Even Jackson, people were bringing in. And
Jackson rose in price. What's going on? He's already rose. That's crazy.
And you know what? Fair play to Isak if he goes and proves us wrong this week and he pops off in a tough game against Spurs. Yeah. But the reality is your money that you're spending on Isak can easily be spent to get back into some better assets. Tell me about United, Date. What's going on? What's going on with Fernandes?
You don't know about Bruno. We don't
talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about it, bro. I don't know. I think it's two-part. I think part of me want to say he's unlucky, but also part of me just saw the chances and realized, I don't know if he's like a bit done or what's going on.
Do we call it the fact that he's playing in the false 9, so they don't have a recognized striker? And he
obviously can't assist as much because he's playing that number 9 role.
Yeah, sometimes pushing forward while it gets you closer to the goal, his creative input isn't as free. He has to hold up the ball. He has to be the target man. He has to allow people to run past him rather than him finding the person that's running past him. So he's got a lack of space. Man United will always be up and down until they find some sort of settling, and it hasn't happened for years now. So it's sad. I know I said in the beginning I was very happy that I didn't have him, but I'm glad that I'm passed on him.
Yeah, in the we actually probably going to move him on in our joint account as well, just because, like you said earlier, there's just better players to get for the money. We'll talk about it a bit later, but one quick example is the fact that a 5.5 million goalkeeper is got 18 points in 2 weeks compared to an 8.5 million midfielder or an 8.5 million Isak. So just one example there.
Yeah, and then the last one is easy, lemon squeezy, our Crystal Palace.
I feel bad for him because he's flopping, but I think he's just been unlucky. I think he's really good and he plays really well, and I think people should actually still hold him. I don't think you should move him on yet. I just think Palace are in a weird place because they're losing players and he's getting goals ruled offside and not finishing chances. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one.
He's definitely still priced well for what he could be. But like you said, Anderson leaving, uncertainty in the forward line with like Olise, and they're about to apparently sell their striker.
Yeah, it's just a lot going on.
Those are question marks that you do not go, this team is stable.
Yeah.
Right? This team is not a stable. It was
similar to United last year or 2 years ago with this whole Sancho and the Anthony situation where they were having kick-ups and commotions in the dressing room. We just advised just stay away from United. And I mean, we were right. They didn't really haul or prove anything for points-wise in FPL. So
I don't think Anthony ever has proven anything ever, except for like the blue steel. I don't know how to do it. Let's go with the guys that made it. And
speaking of blue steel, let me tell you about cold
flops,
steel.
Yeah, because flops and tops. This is the top spot, and thank goodness we can say Chelsea stuff without
point to the
bad.
badge, Mike. Point to the badge.
Fire. Where's my badge? Fire and ice. Fire and ice.
That's what it is. That's what it was. Madueke.
It's fire and ice. Yeah.
Madueke's
Who's the fire? Madueke. Who's the ice?
Cole
Palmer.
So
put
good.
it together, you get cold steel, fire steel. I don't know what to call it.
You can tell we're buzzing. I mean, we try not to get so happy as Chelsea fans because we never know what might happen. But a 6-2 win is nothing to be shy about, and a hat trick for Madueke is incredible. What a game from him, and Palmer's has seen every single goal for him. It was beautiful to watch.
What that means for FPL is that while we were waiting for Chelsea to prove to us that they are going to carry on that end of season form, that they can be attacking under Maresca, man, did they prove it. They took Man City game off too, I guess, and then they decided to come back.
Maresca said the same thing. Guys, we're a League One team. Go out there and practice against Man City. No, I'm joking.
So I think that Palmer and Madueke, one of them is essential going forward. If you can't afford Palmer, Palmer's pedigree, and I know there's a lot of you that can't afford a Palmer. I do not think Madueke is a bad backup to that. Nkunku proved to be not a good choice as a backup.
Yeah.
He isn't getting the minutes. When he played on the wings. He's got an extra person to compete now in Cole Palmer for the 2 number 10 spots, basically competing against Palmer. And now he's got Felix to compete against and Drewsbury Hall. He's got there's a host of players, and Palmer has now solidified himself as the right-sided 10.
Yeah.
And you have Madueke as the right wing, and you have Neto and Madrid competing for left wing.
Yeah.
So where does that leave Nkunku competing with Jackson and for striker? And that's not his preferred position either. So definitely Palmer and Madueke are the ones to go.
I will say quickly for those that are looking to move on to those players, don't expect Madueke to go score a hat-trick again. It's not going to happen. He's not going to go next week and score a hat-trick again. It's just not the way it works. He may get an assist or a goal.
So.
Oh, you hope so, because he could also prove us wrong. But anyway.
No, I mean, you hope so, because you went with Palmer.
Well, yeah, so Palmer can just assist him again. I'll be happy with that. Son?
Yeah, I added in there Kuleveski as well, because Son was 1 point away from Haaland's haul.
Yeah.
So that I mean, people who didn't triple captain Haaland, but actually went with Son and Haaland in their team, almost didn't feel it as much.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
They got right to the top there with us. So Son proved that he was worth investing for the first 2 game weeks, but they have bad fixtures.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to see if his form carries on.
Kuleveski benefited from Solanke's injury. What about Raya? Tell me about your theory you have with Raya now.
Hey, Raya, man. The annoying thing is that even though I have my wildcard active, I still can't afford a premium to goalkeeper for what I want to do in my midfield. So it's a little bit sad. But I might consider it, because don't think of him as a goalkeeper for this moment. Just picture this. Everyone picture this. On the podcast, on the YouTube, just listen to this story. You have a 5.5 million player who's got 18 points over 2 weeks. You have an 8.5 million player who's got 6 points over 2 weeks. Which one do you go for? And then you find out he's a goalkeeper, and then you have doubts. But he's been hauling. So, is it worth even doubling up maybe in January, or maybe soon? Maybe after the break.
Maybe with your wildcard before game week 3.
A young Gabriel and Raya combo, you'd be thick in the points, to be honest.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you an idea here. If you wildcarding and you still have Trent, has Trent scored more points than Raya?
Not at all.
Has Trent? Do you think if you could trade Trent and you get Raya plus an Arsenal defender, would you not have had almost double the points that you would have for holding that 7 million Trent?
Yeah. I would.
There we go.
I would have.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Speaking about Trent, Liverpool have a tough fixture against Man United.
However, they are in the best form of their life. I swear.
All 3 of those forwards, you got Diaz, you got Jota, and you got Salah. Salah playing on the right. I think Jota's playing more on the center as kind of like the number 9 that drops a bit deep. And you got Diaz on the left wing. And man, if you could tell me where the goals are coming from, I'd appreciate it. I know Salah's going to be involved. That's why you brought him in.
Yeah.
But who's going to score? Last week was Diaz. Week before Jota. Salah is always in the points. And just now, Slobber's like, come in. Where's the point?
You see, all 3 of those are good picks to have. I've gone the route of owning 2 of the 3 to try and increase my odds in getting more points. In reality, you could go Diaz or Salah, and you'll be the same as if you went Jota or Salah. It's the same thing, because I think goals can come from either side. So,
personally, I rate Jota higher than Diaz.
Yeah, just because that's central role.
I've seen Diaz miss some sitters. I think there's more competition at left wing than there will be in
number 9.
The false 9 or
Jota's way more clinical.
Creative 9. Jota, whenever he comes on, even if he's a sub, he scores. Right? Do
you think Chelsea's hoping? Quick side note: do you think Chelsea's hoping that Neto from Wolves is going to be as good as Jota from Wolves to Liverpool? Because that's kind of what it was.
I think Neto could be, but you got to wait for him because he hasn't really played continuously since
Great
February
assist
last
and
year.
link up between the Portuguese men, him and Felix. So it's something to watch, something to keep an eye out for. Also a very cheap player as well. So
Yeah, I think he's replaced Madrid. But that brings us to our top thing that you've been waiting for. My horrid nightmares I had all night. Nate's wildcard draft.
for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you'll see that Mike's brought up his screen shares. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to talk about what my thoughts were behind my wildcard draft and kind of lay it out for you guys to see. For those of you that are listening to us on the podcast, you can just click over onto our YouTube channel and follow along there. But let's start with who's in goal.
And just to make it clear, this is a game week 3 wildcard
We know,
that
Mike.
someone decided that they're going to do and make us all look stupid. Now, what do you go with goalie? And you don't have to tell us your team exactly if you don't want to, but you can give us options of what's a good goalkeeper. And we can mess around with a little bit for other people.
So the goalkeepers is pretty straightforward because I kind of wanted to stay in the category of having the cheap goalkeepers, having that Henderson-Matthew combo. So I did the same thing. And the only other pair that I really feel comfortable with was Flecken and Valid Marson, I think his name is. The two Brentford goalies.
Yeah, I think it could be a good idea to get rid of your Palace assets and everything we've spoken about so far.
Exactly. So those prices are the same, whatever you want there. Obviously got rid of Barco. Don't need to have him sitting on my bench. I kept Robinson in my team. So that's good. I've got rid of Vardiol as well. And I kept Trent. So I still have Trent in the team. I know you don't have him on this team, but I had Trent. So those are the two players that I kept my defense. The new defenders that I've had was Harwood Bellis, I believe his name was, as my new 4.0 defender to replace Barco. And my other options was Face. I still kept Face from Leicester because I mean he's in the points and I always had him. And
he's gone up to 4.1 actually.
There we go. And Konsa from Villa because he's also 4.5 and I know he'll get minutes and he'll start every game. So
not only that, but Aston Villa have fixture power right now.
Yeah.
So Konsa is not a bad move right now. Where he wasn't the best previously, he is right now. And just to give an idea on what's actually going on when it comes to defenders, for those of you who are trying to beat those price rises, you're too late. Robinson's gone up to 4.6 and so is Face.
Yeah.
So those are our two price rises in defenders. And I think we missed did you get Face before he went up?
I had Face from game week 1. Yeah.
There we go. So that means you kind of beat us on that one. Was having him before Barco, he was the 4 million that we should have all got because he actually hauled a bit.
Yeah.
Jumping to the midfield, anybody of mine? I know you kept
I kept Smith Rowe, I kept Jota, and I brought in Salah, which you already have. So our midfield's pretty similar. I had Winks, I got rid of him, and I had Gordon, and I got rid of him to bring in Rodgers from Villa as well because fixtures. And I think he's a good player, and I think he can
Rodgers'
start popping
potential output is insane.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is fast. He's flair. He's everything. He's got the whole pack. He just hasn't popped off.
Yeah.
So at 5 million, he was decent value. At 5.1, he's lost a bit of that appeal.
Yeah, but I managed it again. I brought him in before that price rise, so it's okay still. But I wouldn't maybe move to him now if he rose. So I would probably look around.
And then, who's your last spot? Don't tell me. Let me guess. Oh, it's summer's over.
It's getting cold, guys. It's winter. Winter's coming.
And here we go with the man, the myth, the legend, PFA Player of the Year, Cole Palmer.
Here we go. What a midfield. What a midfield.
And that is an insane midfield. All 5 of them are going to play every game. And they all have great fixtures for the next 3 game weeks. Your hope is that they don't get injured. And just for those who are chasing those price rises, the ones that did go up.
Matoma is going to be hard.
Rodgers, Matoma, and Madueke went down and went up. So did Smith Rowe. So did Salah. Is everyone out there seeing a pattern here? 4 out of those 5 is in this guy's team, which means...
From game week 1.
And Palmer's probably going to join them, which means should people be looking at Matoma?
Yeah.
Because he's up there with the same sort of
he's
team that you are chasing.
Yeah.
Can't tell me Nate's not chasing the price rises here, because look what he did. And let's go jump to forwards.
Forwards, yeah, I kept Haaland, obviously. Hello. Who wouldn't?
All of those people that slept on Haaland in the beginning of the season, we don't need Haaland, we can do well.
maybe they're awake
You're
now.
wrong.
Maybe they're
You're
awake
wrong
now.
because your forwards failed.
Yeah, they all failed.
What good failed?
Solanke failed.
Budgets plus Haaland is the way to go, and I'm assuming that's what you did.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Who did you back up Haaland with?
Wisa, Brentford.
Yes.
He's going to burn me, but it's okay. I'll tell you why I brought in Wisa. And then João Pedro, who I plugged game week 1. He didn't perform well back did. And then game week 2, he got the goal. So, like I said, I think it's between him and Welbeck that could be scoring. But yeah.
Could you
João
have
Pedro.
afforded Welbeck?
Yeah, he was 5.5. I could bring him in before the rises, yeah.
It's 5.6 now.
Yeah.
So you take a look at the forwards that have gone up. How did Jackson hit 7.6? That's insane.
I'd rather, yeah, I don't know.
I know you said he went up. I thought he went down and went up.
No, but he just went up.
I guess people are looking at it as a differential to sort out their captain problems with Solanke. And
here's my plan. Here's my plan for everyone, just quickly. So, Wisa, João Pedro, Rodgers, and Smith Rowe, they have great fixtures, but not at the same time. I like the idea of playing around with them because I'll always have Haaland up front. So maybe I'll have Haaland, Wisa, and Smith Rowe. Or maybe I'll have Haaland, João Pedro, and Smith Rowe. So I like that rotation flexibility because they're all going to start, they all budget, and they all have good fixtures at some point. So that's kind of the idea behind that. Obviously, you got your 3 premium midfielders and then your budget defense because what we've been saying, budget players are the way to go, except goalkeepers. That's the only annoying part about the strategy.
And don't you have money to upgrade your defense? Only if you sell Trent.
If I sell Trent, yeah. Which I will consider still. If I get rid of Trent, this is a very great option. You get rid of Trent, I worked it out. You get rid of Trent, you can afford Raya and Gabriel for the exact same price. You would have to downgrade, yeah. Then you would have to, it was before, you'll have to downgrade, where was he? Front row, Wisa. You'll have to downgrade Wisa, that's the only problem.
And who would you go with?
Well, probably Welbeck.
If you were gonna drop him?
Because if I would double up on Brighton, it's the same situation about either one could pop off. And like you could bench one and play one. It's just a bit of more of a gamble, but that same concept is there.
And there are some other choices, which also we can right now talk about triple captain options. Triple captain options.
Or normal captain options.
Sorry, you see how this game is starting?
It's gone to our head. It's done.
So if you're playing your wildcard or not, you're going to need to know who to captain.
Mm-hmm.
And the obvious standout captain pick for this week is not one of the same norm that we've had for the last 2 weeks. Yeah. It's back to last season's captain choice. Who is he, Nate? Say his name. Shiver down your spine.
Palmer. Cole Palmer is my top captain pick for this game with Crystal Palace at home. We've just been speaking about Crystal Palace having struggles. Palmer's got form. They're playing at Stamford Bridge. The fans are going to go nuts. Madueke is going to say Palace is a shit place. It's going to be awesome.
Well, Palace in London, so you can't say
I can't really say this place is shit. No, I think Palmer's probably the majority captain choice for those that own him, but because most players don't own him, they'll be obviously looking at your Haaland and Salah, which are your standard game week picks. Haaland played at West Ham.
We've already spoken about how bad Palace's defense has been, how much disarray they are with Anderson leaving and not a good replacement settled in yet.
Yeah, exactly.
How bad their team is already. So we know that this is going to be a game to target. Other captain choices, if you don't have Palmer, which could be me, Nate, are you saying we can stick with Haaland?
Yeah, the thing is West Ham's okay. They've not been doing anything special. They did just come off a win. Souček getting a goal, and Bowen, my boy, Bowen, I'll come in for you. But again, Haaland just scored a hat-trick, and I'm sure he wants goal to boot again. So I'd back him to haul something.
I think worst case scenario, unless Haaland is played midweek or he's an injury concern, or you hearing rumors about Pep rotating and resting, even wait until Man City even buy a striker because they don't even have a backup striker.
Yeah.
As it stands, Haaland is free to play. He had a restful summer.
And he's
if you don't know what to do with your captainship, just leave it on Haaland.
Yeah,
I think that will work out best. Another captain choice not a good captain choice considering the tough fixture, but he's proven some pedigree since the last game week, and he's a top FPL asset over the last years. I put him in the same conversation as Salah, as Kevin De Bruyne, as Palmer is becoming, and as Haaland, and that's Son.
Yeah,
he was a captain choice last week. He definitely was.
Definitely.
And I personally don't think that Newcastle are showing anything in terms of their defensive
Solidity.
solidness. Yes, that's the word. Sorry, thanks. Words.
Yeah.
This defensive solidity plus the attacking cohesion. Something isn't right at Newcastle so far. I don't know if it's to do with Trippier sitting on the bench feeling sorry for himself. Like something's wrong.
Yeah.
And so maybe Spurs can prove us wrong and capitalize on what we perceive to be a duff fixture from the outside. Tell me about your outside captain choices, though.
Well, as we wrap up today's video, to leave you guys with some bit of sauce to think about, outside choices for me would be the combo of either Muniz or Smith Rowe, playing Ipswich. I know it's away. This is a game that Ipswich will be looking to win, which is why I wouldn't say they're a guarantee captain, despite Ipswich losing 2 games. Again, we said they were Liverpool and City. They were probably always going to lose. But I'm sure Ipswich will be looking to win this game, so it's not going to be easy. But it is a bit of an outside rogue pick. And then I would have Chris Wood, who's playing at home this weekend. He's also been on everyone's radar and has been getting goals. And then the final combo would be Wissa and Mbeumo playing for Brentford at Brentford against Southampton. So that's probably what I'll be looking at.
Well, we shall see how this game week goes. I hope everybody got some good information out of Game Week 3's podcast. If you didn't triple captain, don't worry, you got time.
Yeah.
If you don't,
panic.
if you're playing your wild card, good luck.
Thank you. That was directed at me.
And if you're like me and you don't want to play your wild card and you're watching someone else play their wild card, just like you watched everybody else play their triple captainship, and you kind of like try and find a way to sleep this week because it's going to be a bumpy ride. But remember, no football next week after this week, game week. We got an international break to live through, to suffer through. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but
if we don't see you next week, we'll see you the week after with Game Week 4 episode. Maybe we'll release a bit of a video because there will be more players looking to play Wildcard after the international break. We'll see how that all unfolds. But until then, stay well, take care, may the points be ever in your favor, and we'll see you next week.